can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
Okay, welcome everybody to the video. Welcome to the channel. We're going to do some what sold a little bit later. We're going to do some talking points here. And I was supposed to get this out Thursday, at least on my schedule. But it's just been so hot here. I can't remember these, summers past, when it's been so hot. I mean, it is just heat wave after heat wave. Today's a good day, but lots of ice water. Today's Friday, though. This video will come out on a Friday. Definitely have my Friday beverage. But it's got a nice glass. You see that Crown Royale? It's an MCM glass, mid-century modern. This will resell for about $30 if you guys do find it out there in the wild. And don't want to pay more than probably about $5 for it or so. But a nice Crown Royale vintage glass. Having a little bourbon. This is from Costco. It's Kirkland branded. But it probably comes from a major, distiller. And it's bottled in bond. So it has kind of like that. I mean, bottled in bond doesn't really mean as much as it used to mean, but it's a little stamp of approval from the government that you made it properly on the bottle. But we're going to talk about my video, follow up from my video that I did regarding the stock market crash. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because a lot of resellers are talking about it. And really, I just don't think they really understand all, what's going on behind the scenes with all this here. They're just kind of saying, the stock market crashing and, that's it, we're in a recession, nobody's going to be buying anything anymore, head for the hills or whatever. But it's simply not the case. And especially if you look at the fundamentals, it's not the case. Or what ultimately... Well, we'll talk about what ultimately happened right now. Also, too, I'm also seeing a lot of resellers, they're kind of not necessarily giving up on reselling, but they're kind of burnt out, or they're not making what they thought they would make. Let's discuss that right now. After the recession talk really quick, or the stock market talk. So Monday, big crash in the stock market. A lot of value was lost. However, come Friday, which today is Friday, I think it's all been made up. And we, as of yesterday, Thursday, I think everything was off by about maybe a percentage or two or so, down still. Nothing crazy, but turns out hindsight is 2020, and it wasn't as bad as we initially thought. There were certain issues that occurred that created this selling frenzy, and that's what it was a selling frenzy. There is a YouTuber I watch who has great information, great data analysis when it comes to stock market, the stock market and stocks and trading and all the other stuff. However, I didn't really agree with his latest opinion where he was comparing the chart, this year's chart of what occurred recently with 2008 during that recession year, or what preceded that recession was a very similar chart to what we're seeing right now. However, I don't really agree with that, and you can probably match it up with a bunch of charts from different years, and it will kind of look the same, and then be like, oh, this might happen, or this might happen. We're kind of in uncharted waters. We're in a post-pandemic world, and I'll tell you why I don't think we're headed into any type of recession right now. So first of all, what occurred was the loss in heavy losses in the stock market. Okay, and that was triggered by. Oh, it was triggered by, and I'll tell you why it happened as well too, or why it was overblown, I should say. So there's some bad news. First, and I tend to favor tech a lot, so I'm going to talk about some tech companies really quick. First and foremost, bad news in the world. There may be a bigger war in the Middle East. And what do we associate with the Middle East when there's war? Oil. So there may be issues going on with oil. So that's in the news right now and could be weighing down on stocks and stuff like that. Definitely on people's minds. Company Nvidia, big, people know them as a gaming company, but they make all kinds of chips for servers and stuff like that, and most recently for AI, and it's been incredibly profitable for them. They're still a great company. They make best in class, they are top of the market right now. And they just announced that their chips, unfortunately, that were supposed to come out later this year, are not going to be ready. They discovered a last minute problem, so they announced a delay. So everybody's like, oh no, they delayed. They're not going to be making money at all. I mean, they're still a great company. They're still going to sell the chips they have. They're still better than everybody else's. So there was that. And then there was the announcement that Google lost the lost against the Justice Department. Justice Department sued them for being a monopoly, and they lost. And they'll probably win. You'll probably get the judgment reversed come once they do the appeal process and all that. But for now, that's the news, and that's the news in the headline at the moment is that Google lost against the Justice Department. So that also was weighing things down. Of course, that will not look favorable in the eyes of investors. But the biggest thing that occurred, the biggest issue, which I don't really think it should have been a big issue because it should have been, we should have saw this coming. So the Japanese yen happened to play a large role in this. What do you think, Japanese? How did that affect everything? Well, people are borrowing yen to buy stocks and all this. Why? Because the yen is not recently and historically, very cheap. It's very cheap to get yen. Very zero, sometimes negative interest rates to get the money, in yen. So what happened? Well, the couple weeks ago, I forget exactly what date it was, but the Japanese, raised their interest rates, and when you raise your interest rates, that's going to increase the value of the currency, which is exactly what it did. So the yen has been creeping up in value against the dollar. So people that were, borrowing yen, or what we call a margin, which is basically just borrowing money, getting a loan, it was going to cost them more money. So they're like, oh man, this was really good. Now it's like, it's okay, it's good. And so then what occurred was a margin call. And a margin call is basically someone saying, hey, we need our money back, or we need some money, or we need some more collateral, we need something, and you see what's going on over here. And so they're like, oh man, well, they borrowed the money initially, and they're like, oh, well, I got to raise funds, I need to get more money or collateral. So what do? You start selling off your assets or your stocks. You start selling it, and you're like, all right, we'll start selling it. And this isn't necessarily just one person or two person. These are huge, big entities, I should say, that are doing this, that are moving this, this money around. And so this person starts to sell, this person starts to sell, and all of a sudden everybody's like, well, what's going on over there? Why are they selling? What's happening over there? Should we start selling? What do you think? And then you ask your buddy over here, like, hey, what's going on over here? Why are they selling over here? Then that person starts freaking out, and all of a sudden everybody's like, well, we better just sell to get out now because they're all selling. So then it's just a domino effect. Everybody just starts selling all of us. Everybody's like, they're selling. And one of the biggest things is nobody knew really. When you're in the heat of the moment, you just need to react, and all of a sudden you see all this downward pressure. You see all this pressure to sell, and it's like, let's just start selling. Start selling, sell, and then figure it out later, So that's kind of what happened. A knee-jerk reaction is what you call it. It's just all of a sudden, like, oh man, these people are selling over here. What's going on? We don't really have all the information yet. Let's just start selling things off. Maybe some people do have the information. They're like, we got to sell no matter what. Because we need to raise the funds, or just somebody sitting at their home, go to day trader at their homes, like, all these people are selling. What's going on over here? Maybe I should start selling too. And nobody really gets the whole picture. And then by the time you know it, everybody's joined in the selling game, and you have a huge loss. So that's what happened. That's why there was a huge sell-off. There was a rebound, obviously. There's You know, and then everybody's like, once the dust starts to settle and everybody realizes exactly what was happening, the news doesn't necessarily, while it's some negative news, it doesn't necessarily support what occurred. And you might be thinking, why does the yen, play a role in the U.S., stock market and all that? It's because, right now, U.S. money is a little expensive, the high interest rates. So people are getting money from other places to borrow, to buy. You borrow to buy something, right? So people are looking at the yen. They're like, hey, the yen typically, historically, remains relatively cheap on purpose. They do it for their economy, Yeah. And some people think that, that is, that's the wrong way to do it. But hey, Japan still seems to be doing okay. So I don't know. Is that the right way to do it? The wrong way to do it? Who knows? Here in the U.S., we believe, we don't necessarily, while we have had rates very low, down to zero, and why do you do that? To kind of stimulate the economy, of course. If the economy is, goes into recession, then you drop interest rates to help stimulate the economy, start, getting growth going here, get the wheels spinning. Okay, but this is, trust me, this is not a stock channel. I know it's all confusing. It's still confusing to me. I don't understand everything. But I do like to be a little bit knowledgeable about it, so that way I can make appropriate decisions for or just be intelligent when the conversation comes up. It'll be somewhat intelligent, or at least look intelligent when the conversation comes up. But why I do not think there's a recession coming in is because of places, not necessarily like eBay. So everyone became really accustomed to ordering online. Just order it online, press the button, boom, boom, boom. Companies have, come up. More e-commerce companies have been popping up. Whatnot, probably one of the biggest ones, one of the most successful, stories right now is Whatnot, and there are so many people buying on Whatnot. I mean, it's still not as big as something like an eBay or even like Poshmark, but it's still a pretty big platform, and there are a lot of people buying on there. TikTok Shop, another one. And who's buying from these places? These are people who are, fairly young, who probably have some disposable income, and they're buying a lot of little trinkets, things here and there, merch, whatever you want to call it, and people are spending money on these things. And that's obviously, if people are still spending money, then that obviously keeps the economy going, because people are still producing stuff. People are still, people are still able to buy. Basically, people are still able to buy items. And a lot of companies are coming up to fulfill that consumer appetites for buying. Now, we all like to buy. We're all consumers. We're consumers. We're all consumers. We consume something. We consume food to eat, right? We consume. Sometimes we go out for fancier food because we want fancier food. Spirits. Obviously, spirits is not a necessity, but we still buy it to consider. There's still sales happening of all this stuff. So there's still a lot of sales going on, and more ways to buy items, more ways to easily buy items as well too. Or, all these content creators are coming out, and a lot of people are kind of, you get that celebrity status. I'm like, hey, I want to buy what I saw them buy, or I want to buy what they have listed, or they're releasing some merch and we want to buy that. All this stuff, that started popping up a few years ago is really, really now starting to drive things, starting to drive the economy. And then with the rise in AI, it's really, really just, it's learning more and more trends, and what it's basically doing. You guys seen this. You guys see that when you go on Amazon, when you go anywhere, you shop online, you're getting hit with ads. You're getting hit with items that you may like, and it's learning you. So, got some trash right here really quick. Just stuff that was stuck here. It's kind of bothering me. So, advertisement, you know, is AI is really becoming a major player when it comes to targeting ads and learning what you like and targeting you specifically with items that you are going to feel the need to purchase. So, you know, I don't think we're going to recession because I think a lot of these newer companies that are coming up right now, a lot of these things like TikTok Shop, like whatnot, you know, eBay is making some inroads. They are improving. Obviously, they're the big, you know, the whale in the group, and it's going to take them a little bit longer to adjust to things. But they're trying to make it easier to purchase, trying to make it easier to, or trying to make it trying to get items in the front of a potential buyer. And, you know, around my area, and I'm in California. I'm over here on the West Coast, so I'm in a little bit of a, you know, area where, you know, people spend. People just spend. You know, a lot of tech jobs. People say, you know, a lot of tech jobs pay very well. But there's a lot of other jobs in the tech area that pay incredibly well. Obviously, housing is a whole other story because that's expensive here. But people still spend. And will we go into a recession? I mean, it happens from time to time. It definitely is not an unusual thing. But the last couple of recessions, the dot-com, the housing recession, you know, those were caused by issues like the dot-com era. People were investing all this money into these companies, and it turns out they weren't even making money. They were making nothing. They were basically frauds, apparently. You know, yeah, I mean, they probably weren't, you know, necessarily frauds. You know, in the sense of, or in the definition of a fraud, they probably didn't fit that. But people were pouring money to these companies, and they weren't really making anything that was going to be profitable. So eventually, everything caught up to them, and when it came time for them to, you know, return their investment or return something to their investors, they couldn't. There was nothing there. So then you had a problem. Then we ran into a recession. Then what happened? Everybody was looking. You know, what happened after that? Everybody was probably looking for the next get rich. You know, we got to make money. How are we going to make money? Then the housing market started to blow up. Everybody thought houses were just going to keep going up and up and up in value. People were selling houses to people that couldn't necessarily pay for those houses, and eventually you get to a point where the money's not coming in anymore, and what happens? Boom, we hit a recession. So a couple of you know, just events that occurred that, you know, in my opinion, are a bit of a gray area where they, you know, negative. I know some people did get in trouble during the housing market, but you know, everybody's chasing money. Everybody's chasing it. Everybody's chasing it, and you know, sometimes, you know, when you find a good thing, you know, you gotta second guess it. You gotta be like, you know, are we sure? Is this really it? You know, so I don't see that occurring right now. I see a lot of innovation right now. I see a lot of new ways for people to buy items, and yeah, so those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down below. I know that was a lot. This isn't really a reselling channel. I'll put I think I can put chapters in this. I'm not 100% sure, but there will be a chapter. So if you want to jump to it, just to see the what sold, that'll be coming up right now. Okay, now on to what we sold. Everything will appear right over here on this side. We're going to do 6 what solds with these videos here. And typically, I should have these videos out at least 2 times a week is what I'm anticipating, or hoping to do. Okay, first thing we're going to see here is a Starbucks reusable recycled glass water bottle. Now, one way to spot these is they'll have a bit of a greenish hue. Much recycled glass will have a bit of a greenish hue. These Starbucks ones do really well. There are others that do incredibly well. Obviously, if you find a brand new and a good price, $1 or $2, $3 maybe, they will not sell very fast. The tumblers don't sell very quickly. This one did sell pretty quick within about a week, and I've had this success with the recycled glass Starbucks tumblers. Make sure it has a lid. I wouldn't pick it up if it didn't have the lid, but Recycled glass are the ones you want to look for. And it will have kind of a greenish hue. It'll look just like this one. They come out with them every so often. So great sellers, easy to ship, easy to picture, easy to store, easy to clean too, because it's just, you know, glass. You can put it through the dishwasher. It doesn't have any of the you know, other Starbucks stuff you really don't want to put through the dishwasher. The mug, even though they might say dishwasher safe, you know, the graphics might wear off and everything like that. On the tumblers, those things might crack or anything. The glass, there is a risk of the glass cracking, but it's pretty unlikely. I throw them I throw these ones through the dishwasher with, you know, without any issues. So knock on wood. There we go. Be on the lookout. Recycled glass, Starbucks, water bottles. Okay, now the next thing I pick, and I pick these up quite often if they're, you know, they gotta be like $1 or $2. I really won't go more than $2. But this one went for a little bit more than typical. They typically go for between $12 to $15. But the reason why this one went for a bit more is because it's a Ford Mustang. Pretty popular car. If you guys know anything about cars, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about the Mustang. Very popular, especially the vintage ones. And I found this repair model, even though it was in pretty rough shape, as you could tell by the picture there. Probably some oil staining on it, a crunched up cover. It still sold pretty well, and it's still pretty fast as well too. These, depending on the model of car that it's referencing, might not sell as quickly as others, but people do look out for these. Definitely, if you see them, $1 or $2, I would be very comfortable at $1 picking these up all the time and listing them. And they're easy to list, easy to store. They're great. They will constantly sell. They're just not, you know, you're not going to get rich off these unless you score hundreds and hundreds of them. You might start getting rich. But great seller, and they keep the store moving. That's very important, keeping the store moving. Okay, another cool, unique item, and I spotted these. I knew exactly what they were, but cuckoo clock, cast iron, weights. Definitely look out for them. I don't see them all the time. It's actually, I haven't come across them in a very long time. When I saw these at the flea market, I knew exactly what they were, and I know they go for between $20 and $25. So, definitely look out for them. Pick them up. People still need them. People still use these clocks. They're nice clocks that these go to. So people will pay anywhere between $20 and $25. And for a set of 2, that is. If it's just one, it's obviously going to go for a little bit less. You might be able to get about $15 for one. But generally, look for a pair, and they will sell. Now, the next item here is vintage jewelry. Now, vintage jewelry can be incredibly tough, especially if it's not marked. Luckily, this was marked. Definitely a brand or a name to look out for. Sorelli, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, I hope. The pictures made the stones. They're not any like diamonds or anything like that, or crystals, I should say. They're just rhinestones. But the picture made them look purple, but they're actually pink, and I definitely got some messages about them, and in person they look pink. Some of them are just a really deep pink color. Very nice, very sparkly as well too, incredibly sparkly. The person that we got these from kept very good care of the jewelry. It's just not fast seller. They're just not very fast at selling. Eventually they will sell. Obviously, it's going to be harder to price the ones that are not named. And general rule of thumb, when I'm looking at vintage jewelry, if it's in decent, good condition, you know, earrings probably going to be around $15 to $20. Necklaces will probably fall around that same range. Brooches going to be a lot less. Brooches are probably going to be around the $10 range. Again, depending upon if they are named. If they have a designer behind them, obviously it's going to bring more, depending upon how desirable that designer is. One of the bigger names to be on the lookout for is Monet. We find it pretty much all the time. It doesn't sell. I mean, it does sell pretty well. It's just it is a good name to look out for if you do see it. Try to get for like $1 or $2. Don't pay too much. Obviously, the vintage stuff does a lot better than the more modern stuff, which is a lot of what we find is the more modern stuff that was sold at Macy's and places like that. Some of them will still be on the Macy's card as well too, but just make sure they're in good condition. Obviously, if they have a name, easy to look up. If they don't have a name, try to get them for as low as possible. Obviously, if it's sterling silver or gold, you can assign a value to that just based on weight and what the going price is for right now. Okay, another item that we really like finding are these Madonna in glass cups. They really have an Indiana glass, Fenton glass type of look to them. But the Madonna in partners with a lot of different glass makers. So to make them, they don't really say like who they partner with, but they make different glasses. They make small ones, they make large ones. This is one of the larger ones here, and it was iridescent. Really cool. The rarer color that I've come to find out is actually orange. I had a small orange one. I probably underpriced it. That sold almost immediately after listing it for $40. I probably should have marked it up a little bit more, but I really didn't see the comps to support that. But in hindsight, maybe it was worth it. So if you ever see orange, price it up a little bit, maybe $50 or $60, maybe a little bit higher than that, and look out for offers. Some of the common colors, blue, we find blue all the time. Red as well too, we find that all the time. First time I've actually found an iridescent one. Doesn't really give it more value than others, so really cool, really nice glassware. They do sell. They like I said, some of the colors sell faster than others. Cobalt blue sells really well. This one took about a couple weeks to sell. Still pretty good in my opinion. Not as good as some other stuff that has sold, but still good. Okay, last thing, I put a couple pictures up of this one, but this is a Gigabyte OC. The OC stands for overclock, so just making it faster. NVIDIA, talked about NVIDIA earlier. This is a heatsink fan combo for an RTX 4090. The RTX 4090 is one of their latest flagship, what we call GPUs or graphics cards. They're for gaming. These ones are for gaming. Yeah, I mean, you can use it for other purposes, but primarily people use it for gaming. And this was the heatsink and fan combo. So if you see the other picture, or if you see both pictures of the fans, the triple fan design, then it has a radiator which is made of aluminum, but all those fins in there just to dissipate the heat. You have that copper plate right there on the bottom, which draws the heat in. Copper is an excellent conductor of heat, and it draws the heat up into there, then spreads it out throughout the fins. And the fans blow down, cool everything down. So really cool, and I tend to pick these up when I do see them. Sometimes I'll pick up just the fan shroud, just the plastic fan part. And what people do is they purchase these cards and they want to make them OC or fast overclock them, make them faster. And what happens when we make things faster? Generate a lot more heat, and so you need more cooling, better cooling. So some people tend to water cool them, and so then they take these parts off and they don't need them because they're water cooling the device, and somehow these end up at flea markets or Goodwills and everything like that. Now typically they don't go for that much. They do go for a bit of a premium because they're kind of hard to find. They're unique to that card, or that manufacturer as well too, or that year that card came out. So if someone's looking to go back to what we call stock or OEM, they're going to be out there looking for this stuff. Or maybe the fans go out, they're looking for the fans. They will pay a little bit of premium, not like a crazy premium. The reason why this went so high is because it's for a 4090, and 4090, like I said, is the current flagship of those GPUs. Definitely be on the lookout for those. The heat sink part, if the fans aren't attached to it, I would probably stay away from it unless it's like $1 or $2. Because it really, you could attach your own fans to it, but kind of janky at that point. but I got a great deal on all of them, so I was like, all right, cool, and I already made my money back, so we're doing pretty well with those. Otherwise, that's the end of the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, bell notification. Let me know what you guys thought about the beginning of the video and about the what sold as well too. Down in the comments down below. We'll catch you in the next video.